Hey everybody, it's BJ.
And Patrick.
And you know what? Half of Canadians in the country's largest cities are ready to move.
Half of everyone in the largest cities.
They're ready to move. They're ready to leave town.
Who's reporting that?
CTV News.
CTV News is, Vancouver Sun, half of Metro. This backs it right up. Half of Metro Vancouver residents think about leaving. A quarter of them are planning on moving in the next 5 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
And where to?
Well, anywhere, they say, but really they're talking about Alberta.
Alberta, the land of the free.
And True North is also reporting Canadians flee expensive cities for affordable living, according to StatsCan.
Okay.
So, all right, so let's stick to one.
Let's start with this. So this is CTV News. Okay, so here's the report. Canadians are eyeing moves to these cities from these cities, for more affordable housing.
Yeah.
Okay. So we talked about the elevated housing prices, et cetera, et cetera. 50% of respondents in the greater regions of Toronto, Montreal, and Vancouver said that they would consider buying a property in cheaper cities if they were able to find a job or work remotely, according to a Royal LePage study released yesterday.
Wow. Yeah,
So,
I don't think that's, with the amount of affordability talk,
yeah.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah. So let's put that in a little bit of perspective here. Of those surveyed, 60% that were willing to move were renters, and 45% were homeowners.
Okay, that kind of makes sense, right? Like there's more flexibility as a tenant. You know, if they're waiting out a lease, then they're probably looking down either a light at the end of the tunnel, or they're staring down the barrel of a renewal.
Right. So here are the percentages. 51% in Toronto.
Oh, I'll translate that.
Okay.
That's 93,000 people left Toronto.
Okay.
Yeah.
54% in Greater Montreal.
Montreal, they lost 18,000.
Okay. And 45% in Greater Vancouver.
That's about 20,000.
Okay. So
those people didn't leave the country. Those are numbers that left to somewhere else in the province that I found.
And in this case, these are the ones considering relocating. These numbers are considering relocating. They haven't moved yet.
Yeah. Well, no. The numbers I stated are like people left.
Oh, okay.
In 2023.
Yeah. So we're talking about in addition to that.
Oh, sheesh.
Okay. So here we go. In Montreal, Quebec City is the top choice. For Toronto and Vancouver, Edmonton was the most appealing new destination.
Yeah, I can understand that.
Okay. And
prices are looking good there.
Yeah, and so let me just run through this, and I'll just read this right off of here, okay? Here are Canada's most affordable cities based on the percentage of household income needed to pay a mortgage, according to the survey, okay?
Right, so salary versus the median price.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so number one, Thunder Bay.
Thunder Bay, Ontario.
Holy winter. You want to talk about winter? That's winter.
That's the top of Lake Superior, right? That's right before.
Oh, that's just winter. I just think of winter. People talk to me about Edmonton and say how cold, how winter. No. Thunder Bay, this from what I've heard, that's winter.
Yeah.
Okay.
I drove through it.
Yeah.
That's all I remember.
That's 22.2%.
Okay.
Of the income. Okay. Number two is St. John, New Brunswick.
Affordability.
25.1%. Number three, Red Deer, Alberta. 25.7%. Red Deer is right in between Edmonton and Calgary. It's the halfway mark.
Okay.
Right.
Probably drove through it.
I certainly have many times. So, okay. Trois-Rivières, Quebec.
Yep. Three Rivers, Quebec. Yep.
28.5%. Number five is Edmonton.
Back to Alberta. Yep.
Yeah. 28.9%. Number six is Regina, 29.1%. Number seven is St. John's, Newfoundland, 30.1%. Number eight is Quebec City, 30.8%. Number nine is Sherbrooke, Quebec, 30.8%. And number 10 is Winnipeg, 31.8%.
It's interesting that they put it. I always have a problem with like salary versus the median price.
Yeah.
Because typically the first time home buyer doesn't pay the median price. They have the entry price that they pay, right?
Yeah.
Not that they can't, but they don't.
Sure.
They don't normally do that.
But behavior. I think if we're referencing 45% of these people are already homeowners, if we're talking about Vancouver.
Yeah.
then that 45% are homeowners already. So they're not going to a first home.
Right. This is not a first-time home purchase.
Right.
But then, like in Vancouver, the percentage is 108% of the median income to
Right.
purchase, which is like you can't even qualify on that. That's
Yeah.
the stupidest thing ever
Sure.
to say.
Yeah.
And I'll keep saying that because it makes absolutely no sense. That could be the measurement of affordability because
Yeah.
it takes no account into first-time home buyers. It takes no account of like how much equity somebody's putting down.
Yeah.
When we should be measuring like the average amount borrowed.
Yeah.
And the cost of that.
You
So
know-
let's add. I like how a lot of these results were Alberta.
Well, I was going to say, here's an interesting thing to that. There are no BC locations here.
Right, because people are leaving.
Right.
International immigration to Canada still makes up for numbers for Vancouver, even though we're having like a net loss.
Yeah.
And Toronto, since that's the port of call where a lot of people come
Right.
when they first come to Canada.
Yeah.
But Alberta between 2022 2023, Alberta's records the biggest gains from interprovincial migration,
Yeah.
surpassing BC.
Right.
Yeah, so Calgary, Edmonton, Lethbridge,
Sure.
even Red Deer has the biggest gains since 2005.
Right. And
So-
even thinking about the rest of this list, the only thing in Ontario is like number one, but it's real winter Ontario, Thunder Bay.
Oh yeah, yeah. Not that like the
Not the Golden Horseshoe. Yeah.
Because you got does Lake Superior have the same lake effect on Thunder Bay?
I don't.
I don't know. I grew up in Hamilton, so like Golden Horseshoe, all that area. It's all about like the lake effect,
Right.
humidity, snow, rain, tornadoes. It was fun.
Yeah. The last tornado that I had to live through, or I got to live through in Edmonton, was the tornado in '87. I was driving home. I watched it form in front of me because it came right down 17th Street, and I lived in Sherwood Park. And I turned around and went back. I was trying to get to Sherwood Park, and the hailstones were big enough that they were like this big, getting thrown into my windshield.
That's freaky.
Yeah, I was like, okay, this is time to turn around and
Go the other way.
go the other way.
So we talked about this interprovincial migration.
Yeah.
And what we don't jump into like what causes this, but clearly like affordability
It's cost of living.
Yeah, affordability has its pressure on people.
Yeah.
That there's going to be a breaking point where, if it doesn't matter if you're renting or if you want to buy a home somewhere, eventually you're going to give up the desired location for affordability and opportunity elsewhere.
Yeah, unless you
Right.
can make it work where you are.
Unless, of course,
Obviously.
that, right? But there's a cycle, and looking at, just because we're seeing like Toronto, Vancouver, bigger centers, Montreal, losing populations, and then we have places in Alberta gaining populations.
Yeah.
And then we have a lot of like municipality cities that are sort of in the middle. Like I know Victoria, we haven't lost people. We're still in a positive net gain, but it's
Yeah.
never been an exorbitant amount, right?
Yeah.
Of course, we have a smaller population.
Yeah.
But thinking about, if you look at to purchase a home, you don't necessarily want to be in a place, unless it's going to be long term, where the population is declining.
Sure.
That means you're going to have more vacant homes.
Yeah.
You're going to have less demand on a home purchase
Yeah.
there. On the flip side, you might be looking at it like, oh, people are leaving there, but hey, my job doesn't depend on the economy. I work for the government or whatever reason
Yeah.
there is.
Yeah.
It might be advantageous to maybe just wait a little while, or maybe now is a good time, of course, with the expectation that interest rates will go down at some point. We'll see. Take advantage of that.
Yeah.
Depending on what side you're on, it could
Yeah.
be positive or it could be negative.
So
So
I
just
mean,
to throw that
yeah,
out there,
and
something to think about.
yeah, I guess the bottom line is people are leaving BC
It's expensive.
and they're going,
Get over it.
and they're going to Alberta. Remember that old commercial? Going to Winnipeg.
No, I don't remember.
The guy was getting on the plane. He was supposed to be going to Hawaii. Going to Winnipeg. Got on the wrong plane.
I grew up in a different province.
We're going to Winnipeg. instead of Hawaii.
You know what else is kind of different? And I'm going to touch on this in a different video. The political climate is different in Alberta than some of these other places.
100%.
I'll leave it at that.
Just leave it at that.
I'm going to touch on it.
I grew up there, so I got it.
Yeah.
I've lived most of my life there. So.
And we know what it's like here, and it's fine, right? Like, it is what it is.
Right.
So,
and as we've said before, we are apolitical as a channel, so that's fine.
yeah.
Hey, thanks for joining us today. Hope you got some good information out of that. Please take a minute and like and subscribe. It helps us out with getting the word out there. If you know anybody who you think needs to see what we're talking about, please let them know about it.
And of course, if you're thinking of buying or selling real estate in the Greater Victoria area or anywhere on Southern Vancouver Island, you can get a hold of us. Our information is in the description below, and we'd be happy to help you. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you in the next video.
See ya.